Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Monday Q&A. So let's do it. These first couple questions are actually about me, so it's about my current diet and training and what I'm doing with my meat prep, because I am exactly 2 weeks out. Actually, just slightly under now. What are your average daily macros like these days, and how many calories do you think you personally need to maintain, gain/lose? My scale weight is still slowly going down, which is good. I am currently 4 kilos over my meat weight. I will be 2 kilos under my meat weight on weigh-in as my prediction, because I'm going to drop water the final week. But I'm eating anywhere between 4,500 and 5,000 calories a day. And I know that sounds like a lot to you guys, because a lot of you guys don't realize when you see me in these videos, unless you look at the ones of me standing up, or you meet me in person, that I am a hell of a lot bigger than I look sitting down in these videos. A lot of the guys don't realize how big I am until if they see me next to somebody like Chris Jones or Matt Ogres or someone, and they realize that I am above my natural limit for what my frame will hold. So, again, people don't realize my maintenance is well over 4,000 calories. So I'm losing weight on that, but you got to keep in mind I'm also doing an hour of cardio a day, and I'm squatting 5 or 6 days a week. So my maintenance is through the roof. But my macros, I don't track macros. I eat roughly, my protein is as low as 120 some days. It's as high as 200 other days. But I still, because of my caloric intake is so high, that I tend to get a lot of protein. Anyways, even from my plant foods and then my meat substitutes and stuff like that, it can get really, really high. My dietary fat is anywhere between 30 grams some day. I go as high as 70 or 80 grams some day, but it's on the low end, and everything else is carbs. So, I mean, obviously I have days to where I do hit 800 plus grams of carbs pretty regularly. And yes, I am losing weight on that. All right, next question. In your powerlifting federation, how do you qualify for nationals? Placing or a qualifying total? I compete in the British Powerlifting Union right now, which is a fairly new federation, but they are the World Powerlifting Congress's UK affiliate. So these are officially sanctioned meets. It's purely qualifying total to go to nationals. I only need a 560 kilo total to go to nationals for my weight class. I'm probably going to open with 600 kilos. So my actual openers are going to put me 40 kilos over at the minimum. So going to nationals is not going to be a problem. Now, as far as worlds go, I have to place in the top 2 in the overall to go to worlds. I am actually looking at the list of people there and what they currently score. I am actually a contender for that placing. I actually might, not saying I will, I'm at least in the running to get an invite to worlds purely off this qualifier. But I really don't care about that, because I don't want to go to worlds this year, maybe next year when I get a lot stronger. But it's purely off qualifying total, and it's 560 kilos for me in the raw no wraps division. Alright, next question. Can a novice make any more gains if they did a full body 4 times a week as compared to 3 times a week? Okay, this is a tricky question. It depends on your genetics. However, studies I've seen, and guys, don't ask me to cite these studies. These are studies I read before the internet. There was no PubMed. There was none of this stuff when I read this, so if you want a link, you guys are going to have to go do some digging. But what I had seen is that approximately 75 to 80% of novice lifters, when they had done studies and older meta-analysis back in the 90s, which is when I was studying a lot of this, they found that those people didn't get stronger or gain muscle faster by training a lift or a muscle group more than 3 times a week. There are genetic outliners who did gain it on 4 times, and some who gain it even on 5 times, but they're in the minority. So if you don't have any reason to suspect that you are one of those outliners, you probably need to stick to 3 times a week. And I found that some people who tried to increase the frequency on my novice program stalled a lot easier and had problems due to the sheer amount of workload and volume. So for most novice lifters, you're better off just training full body 3 days a week. Statistically speaking, you're more likely to be better off. And the additional gains that you would gain from going beyond that are very, very small. You're not going to gain pounds and pounds of extra muscle. We're talking like those people just who went to higher frequency gains 2 or 3%. better performance off of it. Which, if you're really trying to become the best, that 2 or 3% may be important. But for most other people, to dedicate a full extra session per week for an hour and a half may not be worth it. And again, it's only for a statistical minority. So I've got to recommend most of you just stick with the full body 3 times a week. Alright guys, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 3.